humans are infinitely more capable of what they are consciously aware of. I always say this.
Correct.
We always are limited by our own imagination. I had done everything that I could do in my capacity as an individual, be it in terms of exercising constraint on indulgence, or be it in terms of discipline, be it in terms of workout, and nothing seemed to happen. It essentially means that you can actually control your thoughts and reach a particular level of destiny. You can do everything in your capacity and still you might not end up getting what you want. If that is what is keeping you moving, then probably your motivations are slightly misplaced. This book questions the basic essence of what life is supposed to be and how it is supposed to be lived, and not really about a particular goal or a target.
On RunPlayGo, we often talk about endurance, not just as a sport, but as a way of life. In the long run, may look like a book about running, but it isn't. Running is simply the setting. What this book really explores is what long, uncertain pursuits do to you over time. How setbacks, restarts, and invisible progress quietly reshapes ambition, success, and self-belief. We've had Sundeep Singh on RunPlayGo before, speaking about staying in the game. Today, we return to that conversation, this time through the lens of a decade-long journey that led to this book. Let's begin with why this story needed to be told now. Welcome, Sundeep. It's so lovely to have you back here again. We shot a few months back.
Yeah,
and
it's been 4 months.
Yes, and then we spoke extensively about your first book. And here we are in a matter of maybe 4 months.
That's correct.
And your next book is about to be out in the next 2 weeks, I believe.
That's correct.
So many congratulations, and it's wonderful to have you back.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Welcome to RunPlayGo again.
Thank you.
So Sundeep, just to kick off, this time, as I believe, you didn't set out to be writing a conventional running book or a memoir as such. So what made you feel this time that this journey needed to be written, and now?
Sure. So you are right. First of all, this is not a journey that I set out to live or to narrate in the first place. This is something which just happened in my life. So if I were to go back in my life, if you were to think about what really happened 2 decades or 2.5 decades back, which led to this moment, I was always a kid who was very particular about academics, who was obsessed with grades, who was obsessed with ranks. And by the time I finished my learning, by the time I finished my schooling and graduation and post-graduation, I thought that I have acquired every learning that is supposed to be acquired, and now I am here to rule the world. With the advantage of hindsight of the last 2 decades, I realized how wrong I was. I never learned the things which life is supposed to teach you in the way that nobody else can. No school, no college can teach you things about life which I have acquired over the last 2 decades. And that is where I felt like these learnings need to be shared. This is not about running. This is about what life is all about. This is about what pursuits are all about. This is what endurance is all about. This is what perseverance is all about. And nobody ever taught me these things. And I felt like if somebody can actually share these learnings with people of all age groups, it might be beneficial for them. So that was the motive behind writing this book.
Wow. So tell me, Sundeep, in the book very early on, it becomes clear that running is just the backdrop of this book.
That's correct.
So for somebody who's never run a marathon
Correct.
or who's not really from running, and he picks up this book, for him, what is it really about?
So see, I very strongly believe that humans are creatures of desires. They are all chasing something. They all want something in life, be it happiness, be it success, be it relationships, be it respect, be it love. There is something that we are all after.
Correct.
And nothing comes easy in life. That's the harsh reality. Nothing comes easy in life. What running has taught me is how to really deal with this kind of a pursuit, because you are bound to have your fair share of ups and downs. When you are down and out, what brings you back into the game? So those are the kind of things which I feel like anybody has to be able to relate to. It's not just about running. Anybody who wants anything in life, is in pursuit of anything, could actually benefit from these messages, is my personal ambition.
Amazing. So Sundeep, you come from a background where effort and outcomes were very closely linked.
Yeah.
Whether it was academics, whether it was career, performance, and later sport.
Correct.
When did running first become a challenge, or when did it first begin to challenge that belief for you?
No, I actually come from that conventional background, where effort is directly linked to your results. And it was a very linear correlation. All my
Correct.
life, I have very strongly believed that you do this and you get this.
Correct.
Simple and sweet.
Correct.
There is no complexity in that.
Yeah.
And I thought that it is true in the real world as well.
Yes.
But then one fine day, running enters my life without any purpose or any objective, and certainly without my permission. And it starts to teach me something very different. So very quietly, something became like, call it an obsession or call it an ambition. I wanted to do something in the world of running, and quite early I laid my eyes on, let's say, the Boston qualification. I was very obsessed with that, and I felt like it's the same old formula which is going to work here. I will do a few things, it's diet, it's workout, it's exercise, it's your miles and all of that, and I will get the result. A year passed, 2 years passed, 5 years passed, and I realized it's not working out. So that conventional wisdom that your efforts and results are directly correlated may not necessarily be true in the real world. And that's when I realized that there is so much more that you need to be aware of when it comes to real life pursuits. So if you ask me particularly, when was that moment when you realized that this actually is the reality of life? I think it was somewhere around 2017. I had done everything that I could do in my capacity as an individual, be it in terms of exercising constraint on indulgence, or be it in terms of discipline, be it in terms of workouts, and nothing seemed to happen. And if anything, I was only getting more and more injuries coming my way. And then I realized that something has to give. This pursuit is not on track.
Correct.
And that's where, when you start to chase something so wholeheartedly, that is where you start to reflect. That is where you start to connect with yourself. You start to look for answers deep within you and not beyond your individual kind of boundaries. And the realization comes in. So to your question, 2017 is when I realized that this is probably not the way it's going to work out. And that changed my whole, outlook towards life.
Correct.
What used to be my conventional way of looking at things, and something that I was very orthodox and very fixated upon, started to shake a little bit.
Right.
And then,
Yeah.
I felt like
It's so interesting that you said that, you spoke about doing everything right and still failing.
Correct.
Yeah. So how did these moments change your the way you think about control and self-worth?
No, fair enough. So see, there is a very strong statement that if something doesn't go wrong, people tend to say that he was destined to be in this situation.
Correct.
We often say that, right? It's probably a way of rationalizing things. It's probably a way of making sense of what's happening around you. When I found myself on the bed for 6 months because of my injuries, I was asking these questions to myself every single day. And every single time I would imagine somebody saying that he was destined to be in this position. And then one fine day, I woke up with this thought, which is a very common saying as well. They say, watch your thoughts.
Right.
Over time, your thoughts become your words. Over time, your words become your actions. These actions become your habits. And then habits become your destiny.
Yes.
Now, if this chain of transformation from thoughts to destiny is true, then it can't be like a destiny is a matter of chance.
Right.
It essentially means that you can actually control your thoughts and reach a particular level of destiny. But I was in conflict with myself. I was like, this is not where I wanted to be. These are not the thoughts that I ever entertained. These are not the actions that I ever took, and I'm still here. And that conventional wisdom,
Correct.
that destiny is a matter of chance, started to shake a little bit. And I just realized that there is so much more to it in terms of how life treats you.
Correct.
You might believe that everything has to conspire to make things work for you.
Yeah.
But in reality, you are just one small, inconsequential speck in the broader universe. So yes, in your own capacity, you can do whatever you want, but at the same time, be aware, consciously aware of the fact that things might still not work out. That age-old wisdom that always says that phal ki chinta mat karo, karam karte chale jao. I never realized what's the logic behind that. Why wouldn't you bother about phal?
Yeah.
But then life has a way of teaching you things which you can't grasp by yourself,
Correct.
but they dawn upon you only when you have lived an experience.
Yeah. And running became that vehicle for you.
Absolutely.
For understanding these larger life.
Absolutely. So when you run, what happens is that you are completely disconnected from the world. You are a long distance runner, right? You know that. There is no phone call, there is no chit chat, there is no music, there is no way of getting distracted. When you spend so much time in a state of exhaustion, there is no pretense then.
Yes.
You can't be pretending to know it all. You have to be completely brutally honest with you.
It's as real as it gets.
It is as real as it gets.
Absolutely.
And that mask of all the optics that we carry with ourselves in the broader world actually starts to fade away. And that is where the clarity starts to emerge.
Correct.
So those are the things that I have tried to bring out in this book.
Right. So, Sandeep, this book is anchored around qualifying for the Boston Marathon.
That's correct.
And this was a goal which took almost a decade for you.
That's correct.
And so, at what point did it stop being about qualifying for the Boston and became something deeper?
So see, I took almost about 8 to 9 years.
Yes.
Every year I would improve my running timing by a few minutes, and then I'll miss the Boston qualification threshold by a few minutes as well. And every time I would go back more determined that next year I'm going to come back. I'll train harder, I'll work harder, and all of that will happen. Eventually, in 2020, I think it was the first time when I qualified and also got selected. By the way, there is a difference between qualification and selection. So you can actually qualify and still not get selected.
Correct.
Because the applications close few minutes earlier than the BQ threshold. The first time I got qualified and selected, and I had the pass with me in my hand, that this is my Boston pass, where I have to enter the running spot and start the race. Just about a month or so before that, this injury happened, which did not allow me to be at Boston. Something that I had been chasing for almost about 10 years, and that's where the realization came in that ultimately it's the acceptance. You can do everything in your capacity and still you might not end up getting what you want. That's the time when it became something deeper for me. It was no longer about Boston qualification thereafter. It was more about the process. It was more about the process of self-discovery. As it stands today, I have qualified, I think, 4 or 5 times since that debacle. Yeah. But I don't feel about it the same way. I always say that Boston may have been like a fleeting crush that I had in my life. Yeah. But it was the spirit of long distance running that I fell in love with.
Correct.
And then that has stayed with me. So it's no longer, I don't want to be remembered as somebody who ran Boston. Right? Not everybody, but many people do that. But I do want to be remembered as somebody who never stopped trying. Regardless of what happened in life, regardless of what the constraints were, regardless of how difficult the conditions were. This is one person who kept trying, showed up every single day. That's the process that I followed.
So what I'm also hearing is that, apart from the milestones, of course, which you were chasing, like Boston, it's also about those in-between moments.
Yes.
And you've spoken about this earlier as well.
Yeah.
So why was it so important to document those quiet stretches or these in-between moments in this book?
So see, the whole world around you creates a lot of euphoria. When you start something new, the world is celebrating and you're getting all the applause and there is a lot of appreciation all around you. Over time, I realized that if that is what is keeping you moving, then probably your motivations are slightly misplaced. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So ultimately, I realized that after a point, all of that appreciation, all of that applause starts to fade away. Everything is temporary. Everything around you is short-lived. But that spark that stays within you, that is the real truth and the only truth that you can live with. And that's what I wanted to bring out. That. And it's not about running. It's about anything. Talk about, as I said, relationships, talk about academic pursuits, professional pursuits, personal pursuits, weight pursuits. A lot of people want to lose weight. They want to become fitter. Whatever you're wanting in life, if your locus of control is external, then probably it is not going to last. It is not going to stand the test of times. It will fade away at some point in time. But if you can find a way of connecting with yourself, if you can ask yourself, why do I want this? That's the litmus test. A lot of times when I was struggling with my pursuit, I was questioning myself. Laying in the bed, I would ask myself, why is it so important to me anyway? I'm not a professional runner.
Correct.
I'm a simple academic person who has joined the corporate world, who is doing the usual rituals like every other individual. Why does it really matter? What will happen? Will I make a social media post and there will be like 100 odd likes or 1,000 odd likes and that's the end of it? Is that what I want? Obviously not. And if you can start to connect with that real question, why do you really want something, then you have that clarity in life. And what I realized was that Boston is not, eventually somewhere in the book you will read that, it's not Boston that was motivating me. It is just that North Star that you need to keep moving forward. You just need a benchmark or a threshold which pulls you forward with the right kind of discipline, with the intent of following a process. And that's all I needed. Now I'm worried. I'm worried that what happens if I go and run Boston?
Yeah.
I have qualified. I have the selection. I have everything in life in terms of what needs, what I need to be there in Boston. But I'm worried that if I get there, what next?
I think what I'm hearing is that the Boston qualification itself had a role.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And now that you are already there, now you're wondering what's next.
Yeah, right? it's an anchor. You need an anchor in life,
absolutely.
Right? Like we need to have something which you can look forward to.
Yeah.
And for me, it was that something to look forward to.
I understand this completely. I'm very similar, in that manner.
Uh-huh.
I need a structure. So every year I need a structure at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Those 2 or 3 large goals that I want to set out for myself.
Correct.
And then I'm working towards them through the year.
Correct.
But if, in 25, there were a lot of other things happening. So in terms of my running goals, for example, I didn't have clarity of what I'm going to do.
Correct.
So my half year just went by.
Correct.
And since there was no structure and there was no goal to look forward to, like you said, there was no North Star for the year in 25.
Correct.
It didn't go as strongly as it should have. So
a lot of times it happens.
Get what
a lot of times it happens that when you are chasing something wholeheartedly, when you get there is a feeling of hollowness.
Yes. Yes.
So you start to question that,
so
why am I feeling?
It's actually really the journey.
It's the journey.
Yeah. It's the journey.
Ultimately you will realize in life that nothing matters.
Correct.
In the long run, we are all dead.
Absolutely.
Right? So we are here only like a flash in the broader scheme of things.
Yes.
So nothing can be so important that you just get fixated upon it. So the key point being that while it is good to have something to look forward to, while it is good to have something to target, which keeps you disciplined, which keeps you motivated every single day to get out of the bed at 5 a.m. and work hard towards it, don't lose sight of the fact that that thing by itself is not the big thing which will give you gratification.
Correct.
The gratification lays in getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning. The gratification lays in making those sacrifices during the day, in the journey.
Correct.
That is what really the gratification is. Don't lose sight of the fact that it's the journey ultimately which you will cherish. Once you reach there, you will look back and smile at the journey. You will not be looking there, sitting there and smiling at the destination.
Smaller moments, the challenges and the so many things that you went through to get to that goal actually is what makes it richer and more interesting.
And that is relevant in any pursuit, as I said. It's not about running, whatever it is.
So Sundeep, one question comes to my mind. What has endurance taught you, which no amount of formal education has ever done?
So I think 2 things. What endurance has taught me, 2 things which I never learned in the schools. One, humans are infinitely more capable of what they are consciously aware of. I always say this.
Correct.
We always are limited by our own imagination. We feel like this is what I am capable of, or this is what humans are capable of. But that is not true. I mean, there was a point in time when I could not run 500 meters. And then I stretched myself and then I ran 100 half marathons in 100 days, or I ran 100 kilometers through the night. And I realized that you keep giving yourself the right environment and you keep giving yourself the right motivation.
Correct.
And, if the intent is there, humans are actually really capable of raising the bar. I don't think in my colleges or in my academic world, I had that belief.
This
Today,
orientation
I have that belief.
has not been actually brought in.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So that is one thing which endurance has taught me.
Yes.
And second thing that endurance has taught me is, and this is slightly, what should I say, like almost might sound like a consulting kind of an insight. But if you're chasing something which seems far-fetched, you should not be eyeing that far-fetched destination on a single day, because it might overwhelm you. You might just feel like it's too far off from me. All that matters is the next step.
The next step.
The next step.
Correct.
If you can find the motivation, sometimes you feel like, people tend to give up their pursuits, whatever, a recession came in and they felt like there is no coming back, or some unanticipated thing happened because of which you feel like you got unlucky in life and you feel like now it is too difficult. I can't be starting all over again. But what endurance sport has taught me is that you don't even need to worry about how far your destination is, what the context is, what the environment is, how able or disabled you are because of whatever circumstances. As long as you have the motivation to take the next important step, you are fine. And the moment you take that next important step, that step is in the past.
Correct.
Because it has been taken.
Yeah.
So then what really matters is the next important step. Right. And as any person who loves mathematics will tell you, this is a recursive loop.
Correct.
It will keep taking you forward. And if that step keeps happening, eventually you will get somewhere.
We spoke about this in the last episode as well, where the theme was one step at a time.
One step at a time.
It's just the step in front of you.
Correct.
As long as you are able to do that consistently,
Correct.
then I think the entire journey is navigated.
Absolutely. So that's the second thing that endurance sport has taught me. Just worry about the next step. Yeah, I'm sure we have all gone through that, right?
Yes.
Stuck at 25th kilometer, another 17 odd kilometers to go. And if you start to think about those 17 kilometers, it can take a mental toll.
Correct.
You just tell yourself, just 100 more meters. That's it.
So Sundeep, one question. Who do you think, finds the book, your next book, in the long run, exactly at the right moment in their life? Who's the audience?
I would say it cuts across age groups, first of all. So whether you are a student, whether you are somebody who is early in his or her career, whether you are somebody who is navigating a troubled relationship and still trying to find ways of making it work, whether you are somebody who is an entrepreneur who is trying to make something work despite all the challenges and odds against you, whether you are somebody who is middle-aged and struggling with midlife crisis, starting to ask those questions about what life has to offer, what is your relevance in the broader scheme of things, your purpose in life, whether you are somebody who is in the old age and looking back at life and thinking about the hits and the misses that you have had in your life, I feel like all of them can find something relevant in this book. Because as I said, this book questions the basic essence of what life is supposed to be and how it is supposed to be lived, and not really about a particular goal or a target. I mean, there are so many moments in this book where I have talked about questions which dawned upon me and which made me realize that how different I am in reality vis-a-vis how I carry myself in the social world. Sometimes we all carry a mask.
Correct.
Sometimes we all behave and say things in a way which we want others to see us behave or say things as.
Socially compliant.
It's
very important.
Right? Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We will say things sometimes which I deep within might not even care for.
Correct.
Right? I mean, if you think about it, it's almost like all your real desires, all your real objectives, your real motives, your reality is captured deep within you, and nobody can see that.
Absolutely.
What they see is the surface.
Correct.
And for me, running taught me a way of blurring the lines between that real self and the optics. If there is a way to shatter that invisible kind of a wall in between,
Correct.
That's what running did to me. That's what this book did to me. I mean, writing is one of those experiences which really makes you think in a very honest way.
Right.
There is no pretense because you're not answerable to anyone. Nobody is asking you those questions. You asked yourself a question. And you have to see yourself in the mirror and you know exactly whether it is true or not. So it's basically discovering yourself.
Very insightful. So like you said, Sundeep, for somebody who's in this long, uncertain phase, whether it's life or relationships or work or as an entrepreneur or as a sports person, what's one truth this journey taught you that you wish you would have known earlier?
Yeah.
And it might help somebody who's in a similar phase at this point.
Correct. So I think one of the things which I want to share with everyone is never play the victim card.
Right.
If you are trying to chase something and something has not worked out for you, there is that unconscious desire or unconscious kind of a natural habit that most people have, that they will start to talk about, if only this has happened, I would have done this. I just missed. If you talk about running, so many people say that 17वें किलोमीटर पे cramp आ गया इसलिए slow हो गया. See, if something is important to you, then don't bother explaining what happened.
Correct.
Right? You see some of these people who are in the corporate world or in the entrepreneurial shape, they will always talk about that some funding disappeared because, I mean, my simple point is that if something is important to you, you will find a way of making it work.
Correct.
And if you are trying to find an excuse of why something never happened and trying to think of yourself as a victim of circumstances, you're just wasting your time. And I very strongly believe that. I mean, I am infamous in my company as well for often cutting off the conversations when I believe like somebody is playing a victim card. Because my simple point is that whatever happened, happened.
Correct.
I can't change that.
Try harder.
Try harder.
Yeah.
Move forward.
Yeah.
Life goes on.
Yeah.
Life never said that it's going to be fair to you.
Yeah.
So I don't care if something unfair happened to you. It's life. Life is meant to be like that. It is meant to be ad hoc. It is not meant to be a linear correlation to your purpose or to your ambitions. It is not supposed to be like if you're a good person, good things will happen to you. Nobody said that, right?
So
that is life.
I say to that, life is not here for your entertainment.
Yeah, it is not here to gratify you.
Exactly.
I mean,
absolutely.
That's what individualism does to you, right?
Yes.
As an individual, we believe that this is the world. Everything has to happen to make you feel better, to gratify you.
It's not for your entertainment.
It is not for your entertainment. Correct. It is as random and as ad hoc as it gets.
Correct.
Now,
it's your job to get the best out of it.
The sooner you break that myth, that life is not here to gratify me.
Correct.
I am just one small inconsequential speck in the broader universe, and things will happen. Sometimes they will suit me, sometimes they will not suit me. If they suit me, very well. If they don't suit me, I have to move on.
I have to find another way.
Absolutely.
I have to find another way of making it happen.
Correct.
That's
correct.
It's as simple as that.
At the end of the day, I mean, the book concludes by saying that the ultimate learning, which will eventually dawn upon you, and that eventually might happen quite late in the life, is acceptance.
Correct.
You can do whatever you want in your personal capacity. Try harder, get the right help, be disciplined. All of that is great. At the end of the day, it might take you to your goal or it might not take you to your goal. And regardless of what happens, it does not make you inferior.
Correct.
As long as during the journey you had the desire and motivation to say that I will keep trying, it is good. And then gracefully accept it. Gracefully accept the outcome.
Yes.
Never ever try to explain what went wrong because of which something never happened. I just can't accept that.
That was very, very powerful, Sundeep. Just like our first conversation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming over today. And
My
we wish
pleasure.
you loads of good luck for the
Thank you
next
so
book.
much.
And I personally can't wait to read in detail, although, I understood and I got some gist of it from
Sure.
you through our conversations, but I can't wait to get my hands on it.
Thank you so much.
So thank you for sharing your journey. And thank you for showing us that sometimes the real finish is who we really are
Yeah,
at the end of it.
absolutely. That's the real finish.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Shivani.